everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Cabin Crafts. I have my little dear friend, best friend Justine.
We have matching aprons.
We have matching aprons.
It's official. We're besties now.
Yes, we are wearing matching aprons. Justine just gifted me this, and I'm also wearing my great grandmother's cap. And I've had a couple of questions about this, so I'll just say it real quick. This is my great grandmother's cap. So I don't have a pattern for this. And I can't do a tutorial on this unless I take it apart, and I'm not going to take it apart. So anyway, here's my cap.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you. It matches my outfit. And we both wore red today, and we did not plan this. We didn't know that. So, you know, that's how alike we think.
Psychic abilities.
Yes. I must have been feeling the vibes of the apron. Anyway, today we are going to make a very special craft. These are called band boxes.
They're beautiful.
Yes, and I'm going to try to talk about the history of it while I do it. So just a disclaimer up front, this is not a microwave drive-through 30-second TikTok video. This one's probably going to be the longest one I've ever made, so you might have to watch it in 7-8 minute snippets.
Grab your popcorn, put your kids to bed, put on your fuzzy nice socks, sit down and get comfortable.
That's right. We're going to be here a little while.
Yes, we will.
So I'm going to start off with the supplies. This is called chipboard. I'm hiding. This is called chipboard. Comes in big giant sheets, as you can see. I already cut into it.
Chipboard.
Chipboard.
And where did you get that from?
I got that at Hobby Lobby in the framing section. It's with mat board, like the mat you put on a picture with a frame. It's in the mat section.
Chipboard.
Chipboard. The next thing you will need is a ruler, a Sharpie, tape measure, a block of soft wood. This is balsa wood. You can see I've used this many times. This is my scratch awl. Now this you can get in the leather department of a craft store.
I'm assuming that's what made all these pockmarks
That
on
is
here?
what made all those pockmarks.
Oh, you're scaring me when you did that. That was scary.
I wasn't going to hit you. You will need, this is like 100% cotton crochet thread. So it's a little thicker than, you know, regular thread. It's crochet thread or tatting thread. And it's cotton. Okay. I also use beeswax. And I wax my thread.
Okay, good tip.
You'll need a big needle. I don't know what size this is, but it's a pretty good size needle. One big enough for the thread to go through the eye. And I've even got one of these cool curved needles for when you're inside. So you need that. Then the outside of the boxes is marbleized paper or fancy papers. In early days, they used wallpaper scraps of people's wallpaper.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, the inside was always lined with newspaper, so the newspaper of the day. But the papers, as you can see, they come in all different pretty designs.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
These are from Monahan Papers. So you can go to monahanpapers.com. So it's MONAHAN papers.com. So you have the fancy outside papers. There's that. Then I have copies from the same company. I have copies of antique newspapers. This one is the Massachusetts and New Hampshire General Advertiser. It is from December 4th, 1773. And it's cool because it's telling the men to rally in Boston to get ready to throw the tea over at the Boston Tea Party.
How neat.
Yeah, so this is on there, and I line my boxes with that. I have other newspapers in here, too.
A box with a story.
A box with, yeah, I like to read the insides. So I have several different newspapers in here. This is another whaling journal page. And these have been blown up. And so that's got the whale. And then this is the Lucy. This is the name of the ship, the Lucy. So I will cut this one and maybe just put that in the lid or put the whale in the lid, depending on the size of the box. So I always put something cool in the lid.
It's kind of like a surprise when you open up the box.
Yeah, the insides are a lot of times more cool than the outside.
Right. So what would you put inside of these boxes?
So these boxes probably go back to at least the 1500s. And you think of William Shakespeare, Queen Elizabeth, Sir Walter Raleigh, they were wearing those big rough collars around their clothes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
those big, beautiful lace cuffs.
Right.
So they were putting their ruffs and their cuffs in a box. I never knew that rhyme. I've never, put that together in a sentence before. But, or, the smaller ones, ladies could put their gloves in there. Then later on.
Hats, right?
Yes, hats. Men's collars that were the banded collars that were really stiff and starched.
We have to show them this one because this is related to hats.
Yes, this is a hat box.
And this is the one that was on the cover of Early American Life magazine.
So this is a hat box, and it's for a very special hat. This is an exact replica of an antique hat box.
So what kind of hat would fit in such a weird shaped box? Take your guesses at home.
Yep.
Something with points, I'm guessing. A tricorn hat.
This is Dale's tricorn hat. So I actually made him a hat box.
Oh, this is gorgeous, the inside of it.
Yeah, and then the Declaration of Independence is in the lid.
Look at the newspaper print.
Yep, that's the Boston Massacre. Again, all of these papers came from Monahan Papers, but this box is different. What is it made with on the outside?
It's fabric?
It's fabric.
You're right, this is fabric.
Yes. So this is an 18th century fabric. It's a reproduction, of course. I didn't use the real thing. But that's for Dale's tricorn hat.
Wouldn't this be the sweetest gift to give your honey who's a reenactor, or just someone who likes to wear hats?
Right.
Make a box for
Yes,
them?
yes, absolutely. Show the box I made for you.
Oh yeah. Why do you guys think we're best friends? Because she makes me cool stuff. So take a guess what you think is in this shaped box.
It's a half moon shape.
Half moon shape. You can tell by looking at the bottom of it.
Yep.
This is paper on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It fits against the wall really well. Okay, what do you think's inside this box? Take
And
a
that's
guess.
an exact replica that's an exact replica of an antique too.
She was about to say it. You were about to say
Almost said it.
I heard you. Well, okay, I'll put you guys out of your misery. It is a hair comb box. Let's see what's in here.
It's Justine's hair comb.
It's a really big hair comb, but this box keeps this safe because where else could you store something
It's curved.
awkwardly shaped like this?
Put it in the back of your hair so they can see how you would have worn it.
It might be lopsided because I'm not looking in a mirror, but
very big in the 1820s, which is her favorite time period.
yeah, and the 30s and the 40s, so early 1800s all the way.
So this is an
really.
exact copy of a comb box. I saw this in a book. And did I bring the book?
You can't really see, I don't think, but the inside is also lined with newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very beautiful piece.
Yep. And that's one of the boxes I submitted to Early American Life magazine to get to be one of their directory craftsmen.
This piece is so beautiful. I have to confess something to you. Ever since you gave it to me, I've kept it on my nightside table by my bed.
That's nice.
Ever since.
Yeah. And it's got a flat back, like you said, so it could
fits against the wall really good.
Yep.
Right. And the lids fit on really nice.
Yeah.
There's no resistance. She makes them very pro. This ain't her first rodeo.
No. But I did teach myself how to do this craft. As far as I know, there's no one else doing this in the country. There was a lady that was doing them named Jeanette McVeigh, and you can look her up on the internet. She made beautiful hand-sewn boxes, and she was using the copies of wallpaper, the reproductions of antique wallpaper from that time period. So she really was doing them accurately. I've not been able to get copies of antique wallpaper because it's like extremely expensive. So,
but you at home, if you happen to have money, do it. Why not, right?
You can go Monahan Papers. These are like $3 or $4 a sheet.
And they're still beautiful.
Yeah, they're very beautiful. These are copies of papers from Europe. They're called dominoes, not dominoes, the game, dominoes. They would be in the back and the front of a really nice book. They would be the end pieces of a really nice book on the inside, inside cover. So you would start out with the chipboard, and if you want to, you can get This is a plain paper mache box from like Hobby Lobby. Okay, or any craft store.
So is this the easier way to do it?
Yes,
Okay.
this is the, or you've already got a box. Okay, $2.99. So I actually used this as a template for this box.
So those at home who think this might be a little intimidating, just buy the box.
Yeah, to start with.
Right.
Yes. But we're going to show you this because this is extremely historical. And I just want you, even if you don't try it, this is a really cool early craft. So we're going to put this aside. And a lot of people were like, where are your patterns? I'm sorry, I don't make patterns. I mean, I don't get patterns a lot of times for things. I make my own patterns. I just come up with a circle. I'm like, okay, I like that size.
You know what that reminds me of? People ask me, how much salt did you put in that dish? Or how much parsley did you put in that dish? Girl, I don't think like that. My grandma didn't think like that either. It's a dash, it's a pinch. I don't know, I just throw it in there until I think it looks good. With experience, you just don't follow the rules, right? You just kind of know instinctively what to do.
Yeah.
So you really just have to learn from watching somebody. I'm sorry we can't write down every single thing.
Well, and on the penny rug video, people were like, well, you didn't tell us where you got the pattern for your pennies. They're any size you want. You can use the lid of a bottle or a little plastic lid of some sort. I mean, there's no specific size. Just like these, they made them to whatever size they needed it to accommodate.
Yeah, you can make it whatever size you want.
So you know, I've made really big ones. I've made big oblong ones.
I mean, look at these boxes. Each one is a random size.
Right.
So how would we make a pattern for this?
Right. So I don't have a pattern for this. This was probably one of my plates at home, a saucer.
Oh,
you know,
good tip.
That's how I make patterns. So you will always have, and I started on this one, you've got a bottom and a side, and then you've got a top and the rim. And I'm going to show you how I mark it and how I sew it. This one has already been completely sewn around the bottom. These boxes are hand sewn. And that's why you need this. And that's why you need this. And this is why you need this. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I mark for my little stitch holes. So you can see I've already covered this with the papers that I want to use. You do that first. You cover your top, and then you have a little extra light going all the way around, and you snip little snippets in it and then fold them over and glue it down. Then you lay your inner cover on top and glue it down. So we're going to be marking on the outside of the top. And these are going every 1/4 inch, so you can see, hopefully, that I'm just putting marks every 1/4 inch. Okay, and that's done. And now, I've already punched all these other holes, so now you see why I needed the board. So I'm going to take my awl, and my hands might be in the way, but I'm punching these last few holes. Okay, and then I'll do the same on the rest of the rim of the lid. I've just got a few spots left to go to mark with the marker. And again, I'm just going every 1/4 inch. And then these will be ready to punch a hole in. So now I'm ready to sew, and how I figure out how much thread I need. I do the length 4 times. So 1, 2.
She's full of interesting tricks.
Oh yeah. Because you don't want to run out of thread in the middle of a lid or a box or whatever. It doesn't look nice, and it's very inconvenient.
Okay, so the length of what you're sewing times 4.
Times 4. Okay. So the reason why I wax my thread, and I'm going to wax my thread, is A, it helps to keep it from knotting up. You know how when you're sewing, a lot of times it will get knots in it, because
Right.
especially when it's this length, when it's a really far length.
So that keeps it from doing that. Oh, she's going to put on her spectacles.
I got to wear my 21st century. I can't see to thread my needle anymore.
That means it just got serious.
So we're going to wax our thread. I can get this out of the way now.
Okay.
And this is a little bar of beeswax. And I just run the whole thing several times.
Okay.
Like about 4 times.
Makes the string stiffer too.
It does. And they also did this a lot of times to make their thread last longer, make it waterproof. I know that shoemakers would always wax, especially linen thread. Linen thread got waxed a lot. This is cotton thread, so it's going to get a good waxing. And that keeps it from being quite so loosey-goosey. And of course you put a big knot in there in the end. I know you can't tell, but it's very it's stiffened it quite a bit.
You're right, it has. It feels more wire-like now. Yeah.
So we're going to put a few knots in here. I need a nice thick one.
Yeah, you need a thick knot so it doesn't go
Come back through my little
kind
hole.
of big hole here. So to be clear, you took that cardstock kind of material, you cut it into chipboard, that's right, whatever shape you want, and then on one side she glued the newspaper, and then on the other side she glued the wallpaper or whatever paper you want to use.
And that goes first. You do the pretty paper first and fold over the edges, and then you put on the liner.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to attach. So while we're doing this, I'm going to show you quickly how do you know how long to make your strip around your box bottom or your lid. That's why you need this measuring tape. So there's a little line right there, so I'm going to start there. Of course, my measuring tape would be rolled up backwards.
Of course.
So I'm going to start where that line is, and I'm just going to go all the way around with my measuring tape. And it's at about 24 inches. So my rim of my lid is at 25 and a half. I added an extra 1.5 inches on the end so that you can overlap.
Oh, okay. So add an extra 1.5 inches.
And you have to do that on the bottom too for your sides, because you need to have this overlap.
Can I show them? There's a clamp on. I'm afraid to take the clamp off.
You can take the clamp off.
Okay. Do you guys see there's a bit of an overlap there?
Yeah. So we will sew that at the very end. I'll show you how to sew up the edge.
Okay.
But it's easier to show you to sew with this shallow piece of trim. So we're going to get this stuff out of the way. And you can start anywhere. It's a circle. I mean, there's really
There's no beginning or end to a circle, is there?
So we're going to go down through
the hole
that I poked. And then this is the fun part. And I'm actually going to kind of start giving it a little bit of a curve, just so it's not so aggravating to work with. And then I always work on the edge of the table. So I started on the inside of the board. We're out on the outside. We're going to go on the outside of the first hole on the lid rim. Pull this through. You notice I'm working with a lot of thread here, so, and then pull it taut. Okay, so I've actually gone through that first one twice. I've got a knot in there. You can see my knot. So now we go to the outer edge. And so I can do this for the camera. I can't really see what I'm doing, so you'll have to, I apologize. And then we go down through that hole and then you'll see it, they get pulled taut. And we go through this one, and you start getting a rhythm. And the more you go around, the easier it'll get to do. As you can see, this is not an easy thing. This is not a quickie craft. This is actually an 18th century or an earlier craft, and so it took time. But while I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you about the lady who made these famous in America. Her name was Hannah Davis. She was born in 1784 in Jaffrey, New Hampshire. And she was born with some sort of a physical deformity. I think she had a limp or something. And so she never married. And that's kind of sad. You think, well, somebody didn't want somebody just because they had a limp. You know, I don't know if there was anything else involved. But anyway, she never married. And her parents died while she was fairly young, like maybe in her late teens or 20. So she had to support herself. She had no husband, she had no parents, so she had to support herself. And she was in, like I said, Jaffrey, New Hampshire. There were a lot of cotton mills in New England up there at the time, and this would have been probably around 1800. So anyway, she needed an income, so she decided to start making these boxes, and she made all different sizes. She used shaved wood, so she was not using chipboard. She was using really thin pieces of wood, and she actually invented a shave horse for her specific types of wood that she wanted to make boxes with, and then she would have her neighbors give her wallpaper scraps and their newspaper leftovers, and she started making these band boxes to support, for her income. And she would get a wagon load full and go to now in here, sorry, I'm going to stop. As you go around, your stitches will start getting longer and out of whack. I'm going to go back down through the same hole again, so that we can get our stitches back to nice, even little stitches. So that one went down in the same hole. So now when we start going, we'll be almost even with the next stitch in front of it. So she would take her wagon full of band boxes, and she had all sizes. From very small up to very large. And she would sell them to the young girls that worked in the cotton mills, because at that time there was a lot of females that would go work at the cotton mills. So she would take her wagon load of boxes and go sell to these girls. And that was her main customer. And we're talking about 1818. So at the height of your favorite time period is when these really came into their own.
That's why America. They speak to me.
They must. So, these girls that worked in the cotton mills, they actually had access to all these cool cottons that was, being woven up there. And I'm going to stop for a minute because I want to show you something neat.
You have made a good amount of progress.
Yes.
She's only been doing this for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm like that far. But they would sew a cotton drawstring bag, and I made one. This is all hand sewn. And they would have a nice big round box, and they would put all of their goodies in here.
Look at the
yeah, there's a gentleman
one.
on the lid of that one.
It's like a surprise every time you open up one of her boxes.
Yep. So they would put all their worldly goods in here. They might keep their sewing in here and a little bag of money, and all their goods that they would take with them. And then they would put this in their bag and sling that over their shoulder, and they've got their stuff.
That's their suitcase.
That's their little bag of goodies.
It would make a good sewing box.
Yes, and actually I have sold these for sewing boxes. Now, while we're on the subject of selling, I'm very, very sorry, but I don't have any of these to sell, and I can't tell you when I will have any of these to sell. I've got people wanting the game boards. I just am overwhelmed with so many things. I have so many irons in the fire. I don't have time.
It takes a long time to make a handmade item.
It takes a couple of days to make a box.
Right.
We're talking days. This isn't something that you make in a couple of hours. This takes a couple of days. So I'm going to stop with this lid, but I'm going to show you on the box bottom how I would go up the sides, and you would do that same way on this lid. And that's why I have this clamp, because
Gotcha.
once you start sewing up the side, you're going to need to
seal it. You got to sew up here.
Yes. So, and these are big. They're like in the tarp section of the hardware store, like what you attach your tarps to your tent with.
Those are some serious clamps. It takes some muscle to open those. Yeah. It's like an exercise.
Yeah. But as you can see, I would say I've gone all the way around, and now I want to do my side. That way I can clamp it and I don't have to wrestle with this coming undone.
Good idea.
And all of that. Like it just did. It just flung out there.
Right. It hits you in the face.
And I'm going to steal my needle back again. And we're going to put this aside because you don't want to just sit and watch me sew that lid all day long. And we're going to go to
the next stage.
The side of the box. And you want to get it nice and even. And I'm just barely clamping the top. And now this I just eyeball, y'all. I don't. Sorry, I don't. Again, I just don't.
She just don't.
I just don't. I don't go there.
There's no recipe.
There's no recipe. Yes, that's exactly right. So now I make little dots down here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go up a little and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm just going to go 1 across, and I might have to move my clip. Now, the thing is, on this side, this has got to go through 2 pieces. This has got to go through this one and this one. This is a single punch, so this one's going to be a lot of fun. So you just take your little awl and you punch your holes, and don't put your finger back there like I just did or you'll have a bloody finger. And punch your holes, and then now you got to go through 2. Okay, so I have a pretty lengthy amount of string left over from where I stopped stitching all along the bottom, so that I can just go straight up without having to change my thread. So I'm going to go in here. Maybe it'd be easier to go in this one first. And then, and you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm going to come out through that bottom one. It'll draw the box in when I start pulling them taut. And we're going to make big X's, and you can see it'll draw the box. And I doubled that. That gets double stitches. So I'm making a double X and pulling it taut all the way. I know this is hard for y'all at home to see. I'm trying to, and then this kind of stuff happens. Okay, so now we're gonna go up and do another X here.
And go over it twice to
reinforce it. Go over it twice to reinforce it, yes.
Because these bands are kind of strong, you know?
They are very strong.
So they'll just whip right on out if you only do it once.
Mm-hmm. And people back in the day made things to last. So now, if you were to go online and look up one of Miss Hannah Davis's antique boxes, you can expect to pay, you ready for this?
I
Drum
know
roll, please.
I know it's going to be a lot, especially if it's 200 years old.
Around 10 grand.
Oh, I was not expecting that. I was not. I thought you were going to tell me.
So maybe 200 years from now when I'm gone.
That's a nice thought.
One of these will be worth 10 grand.
Yeah, when we can't enjoy the
fruits of my labor. And just like Hannah, so think about this. Little Hannah was selling her boxes starting at 25 cents. Talk about inflation.
Oh, I know.
So I'm making X's up the box, a double X. I usually put about 3 X's. And you can see I'm giving it my all when I pull this.
Give it the Ugga Duggas.
Yeah. So then I've just got two little dots here, and this is just going to be a single row going across, but it'll be double. So you can see that this is double X's going all the way up the side, and then this last one is just a single row but double stitched. And you could even go in there another time just for good measure. And then on the inside, now I can take this thing away. Then on the inside, I'm just going to make a knot. Right there. Maybe make another knot. So now you can see we've got the side stitched up. The whole bottom has been stitched all around. So like if this was finished, I'll just do this real quick. Let's put the clamp on it so you can see
the lid,
how it would rest on there if we can. I don't know, since it's unfinished. Well,
you might just have to imagine.
Yeah, the clamp is in the way.
Right.
The clamp was in the way, but
basically it's like this.
Yes. So it would, go all the way around and fit on the box. But anyway, that is a completely hand-sewn Hannah Davis box. And this is reproduction marbleized paper. This one is actual marbleized paper. This is the real thing. My kids bought me this for Christmas, these sheets of marbled paper. And they were made by a gentleman named John Bielik. And he will be coming to our Pioneer Days, which is May 6th and 7th, the first weekend of May. We have a big event in my backyard behind the shopping cabin called Pioneer Days. Ron and Justine will be there in all their glory. There will be about 20 different reenactors who do traditional American crafts that will be demonstrating and you can buy. And John will be one of the people there, and he will demonstrate how to marbleize paper. He sells his marbleized paper to Colonial Williamsburg. He is also in the Directory of Traditional American Crafts.
He does it the old-fashioned way.
He does it the real way. Yes, it will be 18th century type marbleized paper. So my son and daughter-in-law bought me this set for Christmas, or these papers for Christmas, and I made myself a 3-piece set, the big ones in here.
They are beautiful.
So that one is definitely not for sale. And I'm sorry, I just have no way to sell these right now. But while we're on that subject...
This one's for sale for $50,000. That's the only way
I'll part with it. It's a limited edition. There's only one.
And that's only because I'm building a house right now, so I needed the money. So come on, guys, buy me a seller.
You never know. Somebody might. Do they get the comb?
For $10,000 more, you get the comb. 60 grand. Line up. Form a line, everybody. First come, first serve.
While we're on the subject of early American life, this is a really cool magazine. A lot of people do not know it still exists. And it started in the 1970s. My dad had a subscription to this. And so if you want to know everything there is to know about early American life in early America, subscribe to this magazine. It comes out every other month. It will have articles in there about decor, recipes, crafts, history museums, current events that's going on in these places that you can go to, a calendar of events. It is full of cool things. No fluff.
I like how at the end it has a list of early American crafters that you can order from.
Right. So there we go. Thank you for watching. this special edition of Cabin Crafts. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I know that that folks don't like a long video, but this one was really kind of in depth, and there was no way to do a short video on this.
This is an art.
Yeah, this is definitely a traditional art.
And if you make this and you've never done it before and you think, it turned out so-so, that's fine. There's no way that you
want
could
to
get
see my
this
first box.
right. You cannot get this right on the first try 100%.
I taught myself how to do this. And so I think that if you mess up, make another one, and you'll eventually get to where you're just zipping right along that circle and making a box.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Thank you guys for watching so much. If you make a box, send Kandye a picture.
Yes, please do.
She would love to see it.
I would. Even if it's wonky. My first one was so wonky.
I mean, if I made it, I'd be happy that there's even walls
the sides were like uneven. They didn't meet up right, and then the lid didn't sit right. It was extremely wonky. But guess what?
Practice.
If at first you don't succeed,
try again.
Try again.
Okay, y'all. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Take care. Please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.